Good evening and happy holidays, everyone. It's Thursday night here on the channel, and that means Redline Racing, Corey Hart's Media Premier Series racing action as the round of 10 gets underway here this evening at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway, a technical road course in its interior and the high speeds of the banking of the Charlotte Motor Speedway oval course will greet these drivers as 10 of them begin what should be an exciting three-round series to decide which 5 drivers will contend for a championship here in about 2 weeks. And you picked a technical course to come to, one of those really tricky facilities to try and find speed on, but already seeing our playoff drivers flex their muscles there, a number of them comprising of the top 6 so far. And of course, Parker White, your winner last time when road course racing back in Indianapolis, sitting at the top of the leaderboard there with a 120.5. And Cody, as we count down about 3 minutes left here in the practice session, what are you expecting from these drivers? It's overcast here, so maybe a little more grip for them than they're used to. Might help them be a little faster out here.
Yeah, I'm still expecting these guys to slide around a whole lot. This track, I mean, when I went on, it definitely seemed like obviously very technical course with the banks and the interior course and the chicanes. So I definitely think they're going to be sliding around a lot and obviously trying to push the issue to find every little speed. And the less you slide around, the better it is on your car and the tires and the speed-wise. So it'll be interesting to see how these playoff drivers, not only playoff drivers, Parker White's out there, and then some of the guys that are not in the playoffs, attack this race tonight, how they race around each other, what issues they decide to push, especially entering turn 1, the chicanes, and any of the tricky technical parts of the track, racing side by side.
Watching Brody Gardner went to victory lane at Watkins Glen earlier this season. It's been a bit of a drought for him in terms of going to victory lane so far, but out there right now, you see on the right side of the screen the ticker keeping track of the point standings entering tonight's race and how comfortable each of those drivers are above the cut line, and of course those trying to get on the other side of that line. And Brody Gardner using those massed points throughout the season, 32 points to the good right now, over 5th place. And you know, coming into a track where you're very comfortable, you know he's very good on these road courses as he goes a bit wide there, getting all he can in the interior section. You know, when you're able to come to a track where you have a cushion, you might be willing to try and do a little more to find some speed. He's still searching a little more to find that speed, still a second behind Parker White in terms of pace. But, you know, when you have a cushion, you might be willing to try and do a little more to try and get some extra points out there because you can kind of relax here a little bit coming into this round.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I spoke to Brody earlier this week, actually, as recently as I think yesterday. He said he wasn't even sure if he was going to make the race, so obviously those points would have been very valuable to him. Lean back on. Obviously, still has a provisional he could have used, but he's here tonight. So now that being that he's here, it's what does he do on the offense side of things? Now, he doesn't really have to be on defense this race. He can make a mistake tonight and probably still be good. You've seen it last round where he probably had a mediocre round and obviously still made it to the round of 10, so now it's just really about capitalizing tonight and even going into next week too, and then put yourself in a position where you can guarantee yourself on that final 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talk about some of the performance we saw out of Brody Gardner, he was on a active streak of 7 straight top 10 finishes, including 3 wins, but it's been a little bit since he's been to victory lane. Best finish in the first round was a 2nd place at Texas during that last race there last week. So he's held pace, but just a little bit off the form we saw during the regular season. This could open up an opportunity to try and get a little more there, but of course he has to overcome the likes of Parker White, who's out there running for trophies. Pretty much I call it the college racing approach to getting out here and driving. He's going out there, snatching up these trophies, and happening at a time when these drivers who are in the playoffs really do want those wins and those valuable points here, because as you can see there, not much room to budge between those drivers. Basically second on down from Nick Miller, the 98 who are watching now re-enter the track in NASCAR 1. 3 points above the cutoff line, 1 point for Landon Mills, and there's a tie right here, 5th place between Sartaj Mann and Corey Hart's in the 57. So really tight margins there right now as we enter this round of 10.
Definitely tight as we transition to qualifying. It's open qualifying, 10 minutes for these guys, so we see multiple guys on the track at the same time, and multiple chances for you to get runs. Obviously, we're going to see who hops out there to first, and it looks like we got 3 of them: Jordan Kuntz, Brody Gardner, and I don't even know who's behind in the white car. That's Sartaj Mann, new paint scheme. Wow, that's a beautiful paint scheme. He's out there, so them 3 go out right away. But it's gonna be interesting to see how these guys attack this course. And they, like I said, they have multiple chances to go out for runs and really put some laps in. So You know, even if they don't lay a fast lap on the first one, they can still stay out there for 2, 3 more. Maybe the tires get a little better, and they can come back in and try all over again.
Absolutely. Let's hop in and ride along with Sartaj Van so you can get a sense of how this track is. Of course, one of our playoff drivers coming into tonight's race, tied for 5th with Corey Hartson. One of the big things about this track is this unique aspect of it, having the bank section be part of the course. It's almost like you're running at Daytona International. Of course, smaller amount of banking than Daytona, but you still have to think about this track and its oval aspects along with its tight technical sections like this chicane, which of course has gone through evolutions over its time here at this Concord Speedway, back onto the banking again through 13, 14, and then into that tricky chicane here. That really makes this track unique. You still just can't throw aside your knowledge of oval racing. You have to be able to understand how to get onto the banking, how to maximize your speed before you get to those hard braking sections. And on old tires, those braking sections right out of the banking are going to be so difficult to try and navigate, but may open up passing opportunities as now we get back into the interior of the track, diving down into the Bank of America corridor here. These two slow lumbering right turns past the Jumbotron there on the backstretch, and then nice little short streak here, and you see him get a little loose there off the corner. That's gonna be a challenge. You're trying to put that power down, and then immediately back on the brakes again, rolling off to the side there a little bit onto the white and red, and then stabilizing that car again as you roll through the elevations. And that's one thing I don't think is talked about a lot when you're running here, is the elevation changes around this track. It's going up and down this racing surface over and over, and up and down the hills of this place, especially in the interior section.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of transitions. I mean, just trying to get back onto the track on the backstretch, where we just saw Sartaj Van pull off. You know, and I find a tricky spot. They fixed it on old tires. I mean, I found it on new tires, but like I said, I'm not a road course guy, but obviously I can see what I don't like in the car, how it handles. But getting down to that backstretch chicane, you have to get off the gas and get on the brakes early to get it wound down. They reconfigured so many times that backstretch chicane since they initiated this Roval, and now with how abrupt they have the turn, it's like a 90-degree turn now. You have to really back it down really early, so you're barely on the gas that long on the backstretch, and then you're back on the brake. So, and another part of the track is turn 3 and 4. I've seen a lot of people have a different approach to that. Some people run the bottom, and some people run the middle to high. It's really how you want to set up that front stretch chicane and get through that. So I've seen a lot of different ways to approach that one. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys tackle the track and tackle every corner.
Nick Miller working his way through the interior of Charlotte Motor Speedway's Roval. Top of the leaderboard right now, Derek Smith with a 1:21.06 as we continue in qualifying here, not too far away from halfway in our 10-minute session.
Yeah, 10-minute session, and with a lot of road course ringers or guys that are capable of running quick on the road course, and a lot of our playoff drivers, and like the likes of Derek Smith who's top of the board, and Nick Miller's not too shabby on the road course. We know Brody's fast. We've seen him compete and even win on road course, I believe. And then you got Sartaj Van, who I want to say he's probably a dark horse for road course racing, but he does have a knack for it. And we know Corey Hartson loves road course racing. Obviously, we spoke about Parker White, who's not in the playoffs, so that'll be the big challenge for all these guys to be able to beat that. And one guy that missed the final 10 but was in the playoffs, Casey Drake, he definitely has a good road course background. He's good and fast on this track, so it'll be interesting to see how the non-playoff drivers attack the track compared to the playoff drivers. Because playoff drivers have a lot more online, and we know the non-playoff drivers are just here for trophies, like we said about Parker. So there's going to be a lot of, I think early on, maybe a lot of give and take. I would say out of the playoff drivers, just because you could lose a lot, and knowing that there's 2 playoff drivers that aren't here tonight that have to fall back on a provisional, you know, you don't want to put yourself in the group with them. You want to be able to put a cushion on those 2, you know, going forward. And
right now, still waiting to see if we'll see our driver who went to victory lane back at Indianapolis Road Course earlier this season. We'll go ahead and log a lap here. Parker White still yet to log a time here in qualifying as Aaron Brown experiences some challenges there at the entrance to the oval track here at Charlotte, riding along with Brody Gardner as he resumes his pace on the banking right through turn 9 and 10 here. You see how much speed you carry into this corner, topping out right around 166 before on the brakes down into first gear. You're going from 166 to about 50 miles an hour through this section. A tremendous amount of speed you have to get rid of before you get through that section. And Brody right now sitting third and qualified as we run here. Here's another example. Up through the gears into fourth. You're going to top out right around 158. And then you're hard on the brakes again, slowing all the way down to about 68 miles an hour, maybe 69. We'll see. But he rolls through there. We'll see where that puts him. Still holds him right around second, moving him up a little closer to Derek Smith, but not quite enough to unseat him there.
Yeah, Brody's definitely someone that definitely going to be quick tonight. Definitely someone to look out for, and definitely put a charge for the top guys up front. But I'm really surprised with Derek. I mean, you know, he didn't run an incredible, you know, fast lap compared to the two guys that were quick in practice, but he ran faster than when he did run in practice, and he's top of the board. And last week we've seen him go out there and get a pole and lead laps early on. So, I mean, hey, could he go for 2 poles in a row? That'd be pretty nice.
And for Derek Smith, you see him there sitting in 8th place to 66, 2 points outside of the top 5. So for him, those points matter. Every single point he can get during these races is critical. When you're having to fight against tremendously strong road course racers, you got to be able to find those opportunities to get the points. And if you can get on the pole here, that will certainly help his cause entering tonight's race. You see him there sitting in 8th place, -2 from 5th. Currently, again, tied with Corey Hartz and Sartaj Mann. And while we have a little time, I'll ask you about that. What breaks a tie as we look toward the end of this round here in about 2 weeks or so? What if we encounter a tie right there at 5th place? What determines the tiebreakers in that situation?
You have a win, you beat the guy that doesn't have the win. Neither of them have win. It goes to the best finish, like in real life NASCAR, of the round that they're currently in. So, obviously, you know, no one's going to be, we can't send both of them in, but obviously,
well, you
that's
can.
how
Let's remember when NASCAR did that one time.
What was that, the spin gate?
Yes, exactly.
But no,
it's yarn.
Yeah, but you know, honestly, you know, that's how we're gonna go with it. If you have a win, you're gonna be the one that advances over the other guy. If he doesn't have a win, obviously, if they don't have win, then it's go by best finish in the round. So that's how we would break the tie. And obviously, with the guys being so close in points, and we've seen it last round too, and it's just gonna get closer. That's how it's gonna be. So, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out, honestly.
Parker White taking an adventurous route around Charlotte Roval here. And, you know, I think we're seeing what plays out normally with him in that 95. If I'm not mistaken, he really didn't try and attack and qualify back when he ran an Indianapolis road course, but gradually worked his way toward the front. And, well, by the end, he was there and played strategy as well. Only a few drivers opted to come back down pit road, had that toward the end of the race. And that opened up the opportunity for him and also Cody Gardner to go to the pits there, and not go to the pits, to go to the podium at that track, as we see the 95 gets an airtime there through the bus stop. That might get you a slow downhill to there. But it looks like he's fine and good to go here as we're now approaching the final minute here in the qualifying session. Of course, we'll have some run over time as well for those drivers who are finishing their laps there. But right now, watching the clock, currently still holding that spot is Derek Smith in the 66, Brody Gardner, Jordan Coons, Nick Miller, Sartaj Mann leading top 5. Looking at this group, if I'm not mistaken, 7 spots being held by playoff drivers right now. Casey Drake in 9th, further down with Aaron Brown just ahead of him in 8th. Colton Lights will go ahead and move up in the 8th position. Casey Drake down to 10th, Aaron Brown 9th. And Noah Allison will complete those drivers who have made a time so far. Malachi Drake has yet to log a time here. Of course, he is sitting there 3 points outside of the playoffs.
I spoke to Malachi. He wants special tires, and apparently he needs off-road tires because he assumed he's not going to be on the pavement. He's going to be off the pavement.
Well, unfortunately, iRacing doesn't have it so where when you hit those signs, you drag it with you. So we'll have any sign dragging with us here tonight. But certainly hope we'll have some great racing action as we look toward the end of the qualifying. So the clock will go ahead and we'll get a few more moments for drivers to go ahead and finish up their qualifying laps. 95 sails around here. Reminds me of the guys doing the next gen test shortly after the Roval course, but he was flying through the course and maximizing their speed here. So he's taking the normal route around here on the oval, but the heartburn turn is probably going to stop at 95 pretty shortly there. And, oh no, I lied. He sailed right over it. I don't know if that can be a penalty in the race for him to do that. If his car somehow survives.
If he can stick the landing, I don't know. I'd have to give him points, man. I don't know. I mean, but it looked like once he hit the rumble strip there, destroyed the nose. So I really don't think his car will survive.
Get that man some tones. I'm certain he's having some heartburn after that one. No qualifying lap out of 95 here. Waiting for the rest of the field to go and finish their times up. Looks like about, maybe 6 or so cars, maybe 5. Still out there finishing their last lap here. Derek Smith, one of them. Jordan Kuntz as well. Sartaj Mann as well, as Jordan Kuntz now leaps up to the leaderboard only by 200ths of a second there. Tremendous pace out of him right at the end. Can Derek Smith respond? And we'll see if that even happens there. It looks like maybe he will not. So now Jordan Kuntz, in the waning moments of qualifying, will nab the pole for right now, unless Sartaj Mann, Casey Drake, or Noah Allison have anything to say about it. Wow, great run there right at the end by Jordan Kuntz.
That's proximity 1-2 right there if you can hold up.
Wow, yes, Jordan Kuntz, one of the new additions to proximity racing there in the 99. You've probably seen, if you follow that team on Instagram, the colors being run by that car, tremendous orange and black we've gotten used to seeing here, not just in the cars, but the trucks as well. And now he's part of proximity. So what a way to start off his career there. If he's able to hold on and get this pole here, only a couple more cars left on the track right now, looking to finish their times as we dwindle down the final moments of qualifying here. And I think we're going to see this race play out the way we normally see these races play out in these road courses, where we have the tight competition early on, and then you start to see the distinct packs begin to form around this course, and you're going to see these guys really begin to get into these groups of battling. And I'm curious to see how drivers like Parker White will be able to move their way through this field here. How aggressive is he going to be on these corners to try and outbreak drivers to get through the field to try and get the win? And how aggressive are some of these playoff drivers going to be in trying to maintain their position, knowing that every spot they can get is going to be valuable for them? And for Jordan Kuntz, certainly valuable for him, getting a pole tonight here at Charlotte Roval there with a 120.04 in the final moments of qualifying tonight. So congratulations to him there in the 99 colors for proximity racing. Derek Smith will be on the outside of the front row alongside him in the 66. So go ahead and flip his number upside down. You got your outside pole sitter. Brody Gardner in the 55 in third. Nick Miller and Corey Hart's another great road course racer. Kind of goes under the radar there. We know him for his short track prowess. He'll go ahead and start back in 5th position. Sartaj Mann, Blaze Brinkley, Colton Lights, Aaron Brown, and Casey Drake, the top 10. Noah Allison, Parker White will start back in 12th. Brady Whaleman will be back in 14th. Henry Tabor, Malachi Drake, Tyrell Foster, and Braden Brinkley completing the field here. And, the usual suspects find their way to the front here, and that's what we see here this evening.
Definitely. And, we're going to see, I mean, did you really, I was going to mention when you said Parker White not qualifying, ain't that a surprise? I mean, he doesn't like qualify. He likes having fun. We spoke about it last week when he ran through the field, and several weeks when he ran through the field. So him not qualifying, no surprise, but definitely looked forward to seeing him, drive through the field, if he can, cleanly and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely the cream rises to the top, and Jordan Kuntz, Derek Smith, Brody Gardner, Nick Miller, Corey Hart, Sartaj Mann, Blade Brinkley. We got to go all the way back to 8th place, where we have the first guy outside the playoffs there. So the top 7, all playoff drivers, all in the hunt, all wanting to better each other, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it all turns out, and how they get through turn 1, lap 1.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll bring up the race information for you. Of course, 45 laps clocked on the screen there, but that's going to compensate for some of that time we need to get everyone gathered back up behind the pace cars. So we have roughly 40 laps of green flag racing here at the track. Hopefully we stay green here. So that'll equal roughly 91 miles around this beautiful 2.28 mile facility. And of course, that's 3.67 kilometers for our fans of the metric system. 17 turns here at the Roval, 11 to the left, because of course we're an oval track. We got to have more left turns than right. 6 turns to the right. They'll have about 3 sets of tires waiting for them on pit road, and stage length will be 11 laps. So they'll get going here and then pretty quickly come to a stop. And I'm sure for some of these guys, that'll be a great relief to get some fresh tires in their cars after about nearly a dozen laps.
Definitely a good test to see where that car is at. And my question is, will we see people pit, before the caution comes out? We've seen several people like Jordan Kuntz on road courses decide to pit to get track position before the stage ends, right before the stage ends, and could we see that? Could we potentially have him do that? I mean, he has track position now, starting up front, but if he loses it, does he switch it, motive and go to different routes? We've seen it before. Obviously, with a little less fuel, how many laps can they go on fuel? Can they go? Looks like 30 laps on fuel in that final run. I mean, who knows? Or the tires going to be able to hold up? I mean, because they're going to be slipping and sliding. If it's cold, even if it's cold here, they're still slipping, sliding around here. So it'll be interesting to see what strategies are thrown. I mean, obviously with that stage caution, like I said, many different strategies can be thrown just around that, lap 11, just before lap 11. And what people do.
So the one thing I'll be keeping an eye on is, when we watch races here on the simulator, when we come to this track during officials, one of the big complaints is just how slick it is. And while it's overcast here, there are parts of this track that are getting hit with sun. So I'm curious how the drivers are going to adapt to the changing levels of grip around this facility and how they're going to stay on top of things. Are we going to see drivers kind of overrun and miss some of these marks here? Of course, if you miss parts of the track, that will be a penalty and you'll have to slow down to give that time back. So expect to see those drivers have to adhere to that during the course of tonight's race. And that's a big thing there, just really having to slow down and give up that time. And if you're in a battle with someone, oh boy, that is something you don't want to give up on track. And sometimes you're talking about seconds you have to lose if you're not adhering to that part of the track. And the other thing is, obviously, with the configuration of this course here on iRacing, you'll have to use the service road during, not use the service road during the caution periods and through the restarts. So not like we see in NASCAR where they'll race right through the chicane on the restarts. They'll have to go through the entire chicane on normal of the caution flight condition. You'll see that here shortly. So that'll certainly offer an advantage to some of these drivers here as we get ready for the restart. No, it looks like they'll go ahead and forego that. So I guess Cody will be on top of making sure no penalties are handed down as we get ready for the green flag. And we're underway here, the round of 10 underway at the Roval. Down to one, they begin the battle for the championship. Already issues for one of our championship contenders. Hard into the wall there, the 66. Cody, you talked about it, having trouble getting to that corner. I don't want to jinx it or anything, but this feels like that first race we had here where everyone has poured in to the heartburn turn and had issues.
Yeah, it just looks like Derek overdrove it to try to miss getting hit from behind, and obviously did not really, calculate how far he drove it into the corner.
A lot of damage there on that car. We're going to settle in for a long night ahead for him. But out front, Jordan Kuntz trying to pull away from the battle here on the oval track. Now it's Brody Gardner moved up into second position. Sartaj Man fighting with four parts of turns 9 and 10 now into the backstretch here for to get to the chicane. And it's going to be a long night for some of these drivers out there being involved in that issue. But going back to that turn one incident, would you chalk it up to not being adjusted to carrying so much speed into that corner, much like we saw in real life?
Yeah, I think just because you're not hitting that chicane, it's a little bit different, and you carry a little more speed, and probably trying to keep up with Jordan Kuntz, but Jordan Kuntz probably driving it a little bit deeper because he is on the bottom, and maybe there's no grip out there either. That's what it seems like.
So he's now out front here, led lap 1. Of course, stage will be at the end of lap 11. So Kuntz out here out front trying to get that first win of the season. He hasn't won since way back at Michigan in May during the last season. So I'm sure he's looking to try and get that car back in the victory lane. But he's got a hard-charging Brody Gardner who's looking for win number 7 this season. And so far it's been a little quiet for him, even though he's been on a streak of 7 straight top 10s, including a run going through the playoffs here. So a bit cooling down for him here, but maybe he's just maintaining his pace and not wanting to do anything that could jeopardize a potential championship, at least at this point in the playoffs, where we're roughly halfway through the playoffs here as we currently run.
Yeah, no, definitely. I probably think he doesn't want to jeopardize anything, at least tonight. When you make up, probably knowing that you're good on road courses, make up a lot here to where you can make it easier yourself in the final 2 races in the round. So obviously with that gap he has in the points, adding to it tonight, it definitely make it a lot easier, maybe to go out for more wins. You got to remember, in the final round, the final 3 rounds, the final 3 races, everybody's even, so he won't have that point cushion. So maybe in his mind, trying to also stack up how aggressive and how maybe not aggressive he has to be for those final 3 races, so he doesn't jeopardize losing points there too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know when we look at the schedule here, we're going to bring it up now because we're talking about so much in the formation lap there. Atlanta and Dover are tremendously difficult tracks, and they're tracks where if something breaks out, you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time and have your race ended through nothing of your control. And you want to be able to come into a race like that having some semblance of a cushion here. You see the standings there at the top of the screen. The 55 is 32 points to the good right now for 5th place, so he has that cushion here, but certainly wants to add to it with a race like tonight and currently holding pace with Jordan Coots. Looking at the lap times right now, looking at him just a little bit faster is Brody Gardner right now, a 1:21.51 for Gardner to a 5:9 from Coots.
Yeah, they're actually, they look like they're about maybe a second quicker than some of the guys out back, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. They're really laying it on really early, laying nothing back, and obviously both of them want to lead lap. Jordan Coots, I think, is probably the hungriest of the two, obviously being that he hasn't won in quite some time, but, you know, laying it out there. And we've seen Jordan on these road courses really put his all out to it and give it everything he has, so no surprise he's out there trying to lead some laps and put a cushion on the rest of the guys.
Yeah, I think for him, overcoming one of the big hurdles is not using up your equipment too fast. When you're on a road course, one of the big things you try to understand and keep in your mind as you're running around here doing easily a dozen turns over and over in a matter of 90 seconds is, look, I'm out front, I need to set the pace here. I should not allow the competition behind me to dictate my pace. Right now you're seeing him seeming to settle into a pace here, even though Brody Gardner, you see the last lap time, 1:21.35 to a 59 from Jordan Coots. It's about just setting your rhythm and then providing defense when you get to these key passing sections right now and watching them work through the interior of the Roval, going back onto the oval course here in only a turn. It seems like Jordan Coots is trying just to get a little better off pacing himself, but not burning up your equipment too fast, because still you have the next stage coming up, and then you got to go through that entire next part of the race to get to the end here. We know that tire strategy and tire preservation can be a big factor in winning a race, just as Parker White, who did just that back at Indianapolis road course earlier this season.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, talking about Parker White, he gained 5 spots because of all of that mishap early on in the race, lap 1, turn 1, but he hasn't really gotten past anybody else since then. I don't think Casey Great guy took this, the backstretch game back there. He's taking a slow down, but Parker's just kind of been stuck behind Nick Miller, hasn't been able to get around him, and that shows what the caliber of drivers we have on road courses are in this league. These guys are really putting some good lap times together, and he's not just flying by them. He happened to really, as he looked on the inside of Nick Miller right here, as he gets loose, he couldn't make that pass. Wow. He's really having to think about where to make passes. We see right there, probably wasn't a good passing opportunity for him, but he has to really size up his competition and be meticulous with the passes he makes, and how cautious he has to be around certain people.
Yeah, and you see there, he went to victory lane last race back at Texas Motor Speedway, a race from the night to the daytime, and going into turn 1, that's a tricky place to try to get past it, because if you can get in there, you can make it work, but that outside line really thunders to life when he makes the return. We saw as the 95 got loose to 19, able to drive away and reestablish the gap here. Another thing on this track is it's tricky to pass here. You have to know when to try to attack, and really it's about trying to capitalize on the mistakes of the drivers around you, and maybe where they're being a little more delicate in terms of how aggressive they're being on the track. That's what I think we're seeing out of this group right now that we're watching, the lead, the back of chicane down to the banking of NASCAR over 13-14 on the track map, is trying to find where the opportunity lies to really make the strong move. But the last time he rode along with the 95, he got a great run through this part of the track. We'll see if he can keep that here as the 98 is right in front of the 19. He gets a little loose out the corner, so really that car is being a handful for him here, so he's having to bide his time and maybe just wait for the stage caution here and try and surge further forward. But right now up 5 spots, this is 95 Parker White, and they'll continue to battle down here into, as I'll call it, the Bank of America carousel.
Yeah, it just looks like really hard to pass. I mean, you see Nick Miller get on the inside of Blaze Brinkley, he couldn't do anything. Then Nick Miller gets loose, and then Parker White's still side by side with Nick Miller. Nick Miller's going to give him the spot finally. But it looked like you got to really pick the corner you decide to pass, and we got 5 guys underneath the blanket right here for looks like 5th on back, which is, 6 laps into a road course, pretty impressive.
Yeah, what was great about that battle we got to watch all the way through the Bank of America carousel, exiting back in this part of the track is The 95 waited for the opportunity to present itself in the battle between the 19 and the 98. It was able to capitalize there, get the 19 spot, and now will attack. Going into the chicane here, hard on the brakes. To drive it in deep there, he'll get the spot using all those turtles, his advantage, and now he'll try and drive away at that group, gets tangled up a little bit, and 19 and the 18 in contact with the corner. They get it all settled down here as it got a little bit chaotic through that part of the track.
Just looked like Braves Blinkley was offline. There's a little bit. It bottled up everybody behind him, and then Aaron Brown just, you already have a plan on where you're braking when you're in a group, but then when it gets checked up even more, it makes it a lot harder to try to get slowed down quicker. And obviously we've seen it there. It's brakes just locked up, and you get that back and people chain reaction there. And now that Parker White got clear of these 4 cars, now it's really time to see what he had and where he stands in the rest of the competition. He's 11 seconds behind the leader, so I really don't think he's going to make him 11 seconds before laps, 4.5 laps. But definitely do think he's going to put an indent in that. He's going to be trying to chase down Corey Hart and Sartaj Mann in 3rd and 4th. So be interested to see where he's at. But I mean, if you just look at that from a standpoint right there, he started in the back, and 7 laps into his race, he's 11 seconds behind the leader. So obviously, with only 1 caution, he's looking forward to that caution to get one back up and make up some time on the guys ahead. But obviously, there was no caution. You're already in a hole starting and leaving the pack. You don't have that track position, and then you got to try to make up 11 seconds on the track. So that would have been very hard had we not had the stage caution that's going to be coming out at the end of lap 11.
So you see 19 and the 98 missing the corner. That's going to cost them some pace. As we get back in the track and resume racing in 13-14. Back at the front, Jordan Kuhn still leading this race. Now out to a 1.4 second lead over Brody Gardner as he rejoins the Roval part of the track, diving down into the carousel here in the interior section. And Jordan Kuhn's looking stout here. And when we looked at him back at Indianapolis Road Course earlier in the season, what was notable about his pace there was it was very strong, but he had that early issue going down into turn 1. We of course know how tricky that turn 1 is there, trying to make that hard right turn as you're going 3 or 4 wide sometimes through there. Look, everyone remembers what happened in the Cup race there this season. So when you look at how he's running here, it seems like when he doesn't have an early issue, he's able to get that rhythm and just find the pace he needs. And right now, this group has broken away to nearly 8 seconds roughly over the cars behind him. So not only has Jordan Kuntz pulled away by nearly 2 seconds here, Brody Gardner had checked out from Sartaj Mann and Corey Hartz.
Yeah, they put a gap on them, and it's really easy to go get stage points just that way. You put a gap, get in a rhythm, and you get those easy stage points. And looking for maybe Jordan Kuntz and Brody Gardner, if there's no mistakes, to get 10-9 stage points. I mean, that definitely helped the cause, especially with Jordan Kuntz coming in 2 points below the cut line.
Yeah, and right now, getting our eyes back on this little battle we got going here. Now inside the top 5 is Parker White, passed by Corey Hartz. And you talked about, can he cut down the lead? I would say probably not being able to make up 11 seconds in a matter of only a handful of laps, but certainly will be trying to get himself into podium places for the end of the stage. And that car is really showing pace here. It's mirroring what we saw back at Indianapolis Road Course earlier this season, where he was able to work his way through traffic early in the race and then establish himself right at the end and apply pressure. And yet again, the drivers who are part of that group are Parker White, Jordan Kuntz, and Brody Gardner.
Yeah, so the 3 guys that we always see that are fast at road courses look like soon going to be the top 3. So obviously the guys that I have my eyes out, to try to get the win tonight. So be interested to see how the rest of the race unfolds. And another story that happened lap 1, turn 1, Derek Smith, and if he was able to continue with that terrible crash he had in turn 1, he's actually knocked on his back door of Blaze Brinkley, who we saw briefly in that battle with that top 5. He's looking at 9th place right now, so great recovery out of Derek Smith, as we still have 15 guys on the track. So made up some spots and made up some ground, and he's going to get at least a playoff point if he stays right where he is. He got 2 guys in front of him that he can definitely go ahead and get points from. So great comeback from Derek. It looks like he's going to try to make a move. He might go 3 wide, or he might just get by Aaron Brown on the apron. Using
that apron to his advantage there to get by Aaron Brown. And when you're talking about someone like Aaron Brown, like Derek Smith here, the big thing is he's below the cut line here, -2. I think that could also go ahead and play to the mind of not coming to pit road, maybe to fix that damage early on. It'll be 3 wide going down into this corner here. It's going to get real racy as they go triple wide into this section of track. Your two playoff drivers right around each other, side by side. Again, 3 wide down into the Roval section. These guys are not giving an inch here, including Aaron Brown, who wants to flex his muscle among these drivers who are racing for a championship in this playoff round. It's pretty racy out there, but as I was saying, the 66 didn't come to pit road to fix a lot of that damage, likely saying, if I stay out here, I can at least keep pacing and mess up maybe a point or two. He's already got a point in hand thanks to that pole award earlier in the race, and now if he can get a playoff point, certainly will help his cause here and mitigate the damage, and then once he comes to the road for servicing, likely will stay there to go ahead and get as much of that damage fixed up as he can, because damage is detrimental here. You're on this big oval track here, even though it's a road course, it drives like an oval, and aero is important even still as they race off of the banking down to the track stretch and into the hard braking section. You'll grab the spot away from Aaron Brown.
Doing a phenomenal job with all that damage, so if he can get some of that fixed, we'll see how fast he is. Now we're 1 lap to go into stage. Caution will be thrown in the final chicane right before they come to the start finish line, just so we don't have to do an extra lap of pacing around here, so that's what the caution keeps going. But currently Jordan Kuntz has the lead over Brody Gardner, and I don't know if Brody can get there, so has Jordan Kuntz won a stage this season?
I'd have to go back and check the notes on that just to double check, but I think he may be without a stage win so far this season. We haven't had a lot of drivers who've actually gone and got a stage win so far this season. He's looking to try and be among that growing group of drivers who will claim that, but he still has some work to do here. He has to get back onto the oval track and drive his way through the final couple of tricky sections, which include those 2 chicanes there, and the gap has dropped down considerably here. It was about 2 seconds the last time we profiled these 2 drivers here. It's now been cut in half, down to 9/10 of a second, and still dropping here. I don't know if there's enough time for the 55 to try and get there, but he'll certainly try and close the gap to try and run up on the back bumper of the 99. Great chicane there. He'll chop up another couple of tenths there, and now Jordan is trying to gain that time back as they work through the banking of the final 2 corners here on the oval track and down into this final chicane here. The lead will hold right around 0.8 of a second, but Brody Gardner likely keeping something in the tank there. As the stage comes to an end, Jordan Kuntz will be your stage winner.
What a phenomenal job by Jordan Kuntz, really doing what he needs to do and maximize the points, especially with the hole he's going into this race.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big thing here. Talking about trying just to get out of the deficit he's in right now, and this will certainly help his cause coming into this race. -2, a little cutoff line in 7th position. So now everyone gets to reset here further down the standings. Brody Gardner finishes in 2nd after he tried to track down Jordan Kuntz. They're not able to do it. Sartaj Man 3rd. Parker White will will get to 4th place. Corey Hart's back in 5th. Nick Miller, Bradley Willman back there in 7th. Good run for him, gaining 7 spots during that. He's only bested by Parker White in most positions gained so far in the race right now. Blaze Brinkley, Derek Smith, Tyrell Foster completing the top 10. No stage points for Malachi Drake back there in 13th position.
Okay, like I said, he needs those off-road tires. He'll be really good with those, but I think he's just here to try to maximize what he can get. He's not a road course ringer, so he's going to try just stay out there, and hopefully some guys retire. I mean, it's the name of the game. Anything can happen. We saw what happened to Derek Smith lap 1. We're going to be coming up to another restart in a few laps after pacing, so it'll be interesting to see if that happens again to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we'll go ahead and let's bring up the full picture here again. We keep talking about, you see the numbers there. Let's make sure you guys know who exactly the drivers are here. You see their wins as well. Entering tonight's race behind a pace car right now as we end the stage. Brody Gardner, 6 wins this season, an incredible feat for him. Still looking to try and get win number 7 here. Nick Miller back there to 19. +9, Blaze Brinkley, Landon Mills, Corey Hart's. Landon Mills not present for tonight's race. He'll have to use his provisional there, and that certainly is a, provisionals are great, but you kind of hope you get a smaller turnout for the race, and pretty good turnout for this race here. Nearly 2 dozen, nearly 2 dozen cars, just over a dozen here on track right now, still running. And then on the other side of the line, that's where you're talking about drivers like Sartaj Man, who won this season. Technically has 2 wins, also winning the All-Star race back at Darlington and also winning at Martinsville. Jordan Kuntz, Derek Smith, Malachi Drake, Storm Patterson completing the rest of the field back there. And this race will be pivotal as we're going into 2 very difficult races first things first, we gotta get pit stops on the way here. I'm sure many of you guys are looking forward to getting some fresh, good air heat within the cars as they make their way down.
It'll be interesting to see who maximizes pit road and who comes out in front, because track vision will be key, definitely going forward in this race.
Yeah, so we look at this field here. If things hold the way they are, Parker White will be up into the 4th position here. And, I think you might see him go ahead and turn the thrusters on and get to work there, because once he's able to get out of the traffic, and you saw how thinned out things got toward the front of the field there. When you look at Jordan Kuntz, Brody Gardner, they had a pretty big gap to the field. There was about a second between those two, and then you're looking at 12 seconds back to the next car. So when you're able to break away, you break away quick. So look for that to be a big thing here. Is great pit stop there by the 95. He looks like he'll come out second on that pit stop, so likely restarting in the 2nd position. Tremendous stop there out of that team. So now Jordan Kuntz will have some company there with the 95, likely to restart 2nd. Brody Gardner will hold in 3rd, and Sartage man Corey Hartz, and then the 44 completing the drivers heading off pit road, everyone else following out as well. But man, what a speedy stop there out from Parker White right now.
Looks like he didn't get the 2nd. I don't think he did.
He was right there as he was crossing the line. So the scorer, I guess, was trying to figure it out, but still gained another spot on pit road. So he's now up 9 from where he started the evening, outside the top 10. So yet again, he'll be looking to try and really be aggressive on his restart, especially getting those fresh tires under him and using them to his advantage. And now that these drivers will be getting ready for this restart here momentarily, probably at 2 to green right now, we'll likely get 1 to go. Are we at 1 to go right now? I see him maybe forming up 2 by 2.
It's the pace car light's still on, so I think it's 2 to go still.
So as we're watching him pace around here, you gotta think that some of these drivers are thinking about that opening lap there and that first turn. When they get to that section again and they get that restart, how are they going to approach it this time? They're going to have to.
That is, people saw the mistakes already, and like you said, it brought flashbacks of like real life NASCAR when they missed it. I think the first time they came here, so maybe they readjust how they attack and maybe not charge as hard. But who knows? I mean, in your head, you have no more cautions left in the race, so it's going to go green to the rest of the end. So you got to push hard every single lap to get the most track position. And when everybody's bunched up together, it's the best time to get track position. But how hard do you attack that corner? I do think we're going to still see mistakes. I think going into turn 1.
And the other thing is, this race has really flown by here in terms of the speed of this race. When you don't have the normal yellow flags. One, if you look at the instance, you really didn't have any instance that resulted in, say, a full yellow anyway. I come from the school of the safety car and just local yellows, so that's how my brain works. But I know we normally get behind a pace car for single car incidents sometimes, or isolated incidents will bring drivers in, as we now see the 95 heading in here. So interesting strategy. He's bringing that car back onto pit road again after gaining all that position on pit road. I say all that position was 1 spot, but even still, he's back on pit road here. Maybe going on there, thinking tactics here, because he's not alone.
Fuel?
That could be it. I think when we looked back at Indianapolis, that was the big talking point there. It wasn't necessarily tires that brought him in, it was fuel and the strategy of saving fuel. Could we be seeing the origination of fuel strategy playing out here at the 95 when I'm exiting pits? He'll look to restart right around the 10th position if things hold steady right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's really good at saving fuel. We've seen it out of him several times, being able to save fuel. So he must know that he can maybe make it all the way to the end, or if it is, maybe it's a one-stopper. I have no clue. I really have no clue. I mean, he's the only one that really knows. I mean, obviously, a few of the guys came back down to top off, so they might know something we don't know, but we're coming to green at the time, so it'll be interesting to see how hard Parker charges up through the field.
Yeah, for me, this gives me flashbacks to running road for so long here on iRacing, where, look, these guys are not just in the sim, just basically only driving the car. They're looking at data too. They have their different calculators managing their fuel, looking at the data, figuring out exactly when they're in their fuel, exactly when they can make it on fuel and things like that. So they're constantly tracking those numbers. Maybe for Parker White, this is materialized, and the way this caution has fallen, it's allowed him to be able to come in and know he's in a better position fuel-wise than everyone else. And don't know. We'll see how it plays out. He was only on pit road for a few seconds in his stall there. He was only there for about 5 seconds, along with a couple other drivers. Aaron Brown also came into the pits there for about 5.6 seconds. So that's indicative of just a fuel and go and getting back out onto the track. I'm very curious to see how these drivers approach this restart and what this will mean for drivers like Parker White. Will this mean it's go time for him and he'll be able just to go full throttle, which of course when that happens, that puts pressure on the other drivers to go ahead and just mash it down, which can then push them out of their own fuel windows. So it's all about the chess game here. I think we're starting to see that chess match play out, and that's what I love about road course racing. It's not just about the technical nature of running on the road course, it's also about the tactics and the calculations and the strategy that help you get the best finishes. And we'll see how that plays out here as Jordan Kuntz will restart in the first position, Brody Gardner in second, Sartaj Mann, Corey Hartz, and the 44 completing the top 5. Henry Tabor back there in the 6th position, give a call to him. Nick Miller, Blaze Brinkley, Tyrell Foster, Jared Smith leading the top 10. Colton Mike Parker White back there in 12th. So get ready for the restart here. And remember, guys, you're going into a corner a little bit differently than you're used to. Let's see if they pay attention. Green flag back out here at Charlotte Roval, the final stage underway. Closing the door, playing defense already, and there goes the 55 sideways, hopping the curb, dodging it well as the 99 and the 55 having issues there. And yet again, that section of the track strikes and is striking the driver who was right there pursuing the 99 this whole time. He will drop back in the field considerably there.
I applaud Jordan Kuntz for not losing his composure right there. Wow, that could have been detrimental to him.
See if we can get a look at that again. Looking at the replay here, presented by Year One Custom Flip Flop Company. Down into the corner. Maybe there's been a wheel hop there and up on the turtles in the air. And look at the 57 trying to snake by that right in the middle of the track. Everyone trying to find a way around this incident.
Jordan Kuntz has to look at after this issue right here. I've been watching Brody Gardner, just unlikely mistake out of Brody.
Could have been of contact there between the 49 and the 55 in that corner as well.
Well, if that's the case, then I would not want to be in that nebulous meeting after that. But Brody definitely went with an aggressive approach, diving down, and yeah, there was contact. Wow.
So, my goodness, we get back to our live pictures here at the track. Big incident there for Brody Gardner. Finished second in the stage and now finds himself well back in the field in 10th, battling with the 48 to try and maintain that top 10 position. Tonight's racing from a streak of 7 straight top 10 finishes, including the run of race in the playoffs, and now trying to keep that alive here with tonight, entering in with 32 points above the cutoff line before tonight's race.
Damage probably not going to help him at all. Definitely going to hurt him in his momentum, but he's in 10th now, but he dropped from 2nd on that restart all the way to 10th in 1 lap, and that's track position.
Now Jordan Kuntz off track into the wall. Our leader having issues through the Roval. Sartaj Mann to the lead as now he has issues. The front row on the restart, all facing challenges. He'll get back going with the 5 on his outside. Some side damage to that car. Could have been a lot worse, but he's now back going out of the lead for the 99. And we talk about bad luck striking the 99 often. Happens again in the interior of the track.
Got to see what happened there. I was actually trying to talk about, but Brody just looks like he got into the carousel and the car. That's weird. Didn't even look like the car wanted to slow down.
We'll watch again from a different angle on the approach into his uphill section. Just it's a braking issue, not able to hang on to that car. He'll get into the tire barrier there, and a bunch of cars will stream by, including Sartaj Mann, Nick Miller, Corey Hartz, and company. And now he'll find himself back in the field here outside of the first position where he found himself all night, and now he's trying to get that position back, fighting with the 57 Corey Hartz. He'll get the spot away from him back into 4th, and now we're trying to set his sights on the rest of the field here. The leader now, Sartaj Mann into 49.
Sartaj Mann, Nick Miller, Blaze Brinkley, your top 3.
So an incredible restart there, affecting the front row of the drivers who were leading this race back to the green flag, and now the drivers capitalizing on it are the drivers who are just behind them. Sartaj Mann leading this race here down into the oval part of the track here momentarily, with Nick Miller back in 2nd in the 19 and Blaze Brinkley in 3rd.
I wonder how much speed Jordan Kuntz lost out of that car or not, because it does look still speedy. He's trying to close up on Blaze Brinkley, but we know he got into a wall there, so probably not as hurting Brody Gardner's car. Brody trying to get to the field. He's back up to ninth. Actually, I think eighth now as he got by Brady. So, I mean, now these guys are in attack mode. We know Brody's probably mad. We know Jordan's probably mad. So now these guys are probably going to drive over their head, and potentially more mistakes might happen.
Yeah, and the clock is ticking as well. Those laps are dwindling away here, and that just means more time being lost. So you got to try and get your way through this field here really quickly as you ride along with the 99, working its way through the final two corners back to the front stretch here. Seems like the car's in relatively good shape. What's good about that section of track where he went off is pretty slow part of the track there. You're kind of off the gas, so you caught the outside of the car there on the tire barrier, so not as hard of a hit there. Not definitely as hard as what we saw out of Brody Gardner, where you're carrying a lot of speed down into that corner and then taking the turtles as well, as we now watch potential battle for this position. Third right now between 98 and 99.
98, 99. Let's see. Let me go back to it. Sorry, I was looking back, and 99 took the spot from Blaze Brinkley with ease. Now he's going to set his sights on Nick Miller, who he is actually quicker than by just a little bit. But what's amazing me right now is actually Sartaj Man is laying down pretty fast lap times right now out there up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Last lap time for Sartaj Man was a 1:22.39, and of course, we're waiting and seeing what some of these drivers do. We're differentiating strategies here. Get this. Now, it could be traffic, could be where these drivers kind of could be traffic. Parker White, last lap was a 1:22.53. That's slower than Sartaj Man, your leader right now. So that shows you how traffic can be a factor in how fast you can be around this track, and certainly helping Sartaj Man here out to a nice little bit of a lead over Nick Miller.
Yeah, great lead over Nick Miller. Nick Miller ran a little bit quicker there. Jordan Kuntz ran 5/10 quicker than Sartaj Man, so he still has a fast car. Here comes Parker White going underneath Corey Hart for position. Probably will get it right there, but they ran pretty slow, 24s. So, I mean, Parker's looking at a 7-second deficit to the leader. And honestly, if you're comparing him to Jordan Kuntz, he's looking at a 3-second deficit to Jordan Kuntz. So, not an 11-second deficit like we talked about early in the race before the stage, but it's still a deficit. So, you know he's going to have to push the limits at some point if he wants to catch up.
Absolutely, and one thing we note about Parker White, he made 2 pit stops during that caution period, of course pitting with the leaders at the end of the stage, but coming back down for a moment. A very quick pit stop, about 5 seconds for him there. So that's something we'll be keeping an eye on here, is how aggressive he's going to be able to move through his field here. Maybe that helps get your fuel window a little bit better, but still back in traffic here, back inside the top 5 after starting at 10. But still some work to do. Not as large of a gap as he had to deal with during the first stage. It's only about 7 seconds to himself and Sartaj Man, but still some work to do there out of the 95.
Definitely some work. And right behind Parker White, look who is right outside the top 5. Derek Smith. What a recovery out of this guy.
Yeah, after those issues there, like we said, he had a bit of an issue going into turn number 1 and able to recover from that, got the car fixed up as well. It seems like that's helped him get some speed as Corey Hart fades back in this current run right now. He's back down 2 spots in the 7th position. Derek Smith trying to rebound here from that early incident.
Yeah, I just watched Jordan Kuntz get by Nick Miller. Nick Miller let him go. So now Jordan Kuntz back up to second after a mistake. We'll see if he can capitalize on the clean air now. No one in front of him but Sartaj Man, and be able to catch up with Sartaj Man while trying to put a gap on himself and Parker White, which is probably the next fastest guy on track to him.
Yeah, you see him not too far away in the picture in that last shot as they get back onto the banking of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, Jordan Kuntz, the stage winner, having issues in the interior of the Roval, now getting things righted. And he tries to track down Sartaj Man. He doesn't work for about 4 seconds between himself and the 49, and still has a very hungry Nick Miller, Blaze Brinkley, and Parker White behind him. You see him coming into frame here as they work through the chicane there. You see that blue and white car there, really aggressive entry to that corner. He'll get the job done. He'll try and get a run off, and that's something I like to see drivers do, is really drive in deep into that corner to try and get this run off, because it sets you up beautifully for these final 2 corners here on the front stretch.
Definitely, momentum is key around here, especially coming out of those slow corners. So Parker White's probably the best at doing that, and then he's going to set his sights on Nick Miller while trying to gain time on the leader and the faster guys up front.
The leader's passing through here in turn number 1, the heartburn turn. It wasn't that this season, but certainly here on iRacing, it will always be known as the heartburn turn. And we've seen that specific corner cause some strife for our playoff drivers here throughout the race, and some have rebounded, some are still in the hole. One of those drivers beats Brody Gardner after being right there in the battle for the stage win, closing up to about 0.8 of a second behind Jordan Kuntz. An early incident with that wall after potential contact between himself and his teammate Sartaj Mann, relegating him back to 9th place right now.
He just can't seem to capitalize, and I just think that damage, that front end damage that he has on that car, I know it didn't seem like a lot when all of it happened, but just looking at it, just obviously he's down the horsepower and he just cannot compete. So I know he's trying his hardest, and he's just going to try to get what he can get out of this race. So I mean, he did get those 9 stage points at the end of the stage, but pretty much just evening out now at this point from where he's going.
Winless in the first round of the playoffs, his best finish coming last race at Texas, finishing second there as we transitioned the nighttime to the daytime. And what would be interesting is, why don't we do that here at this track one day? Have the guys run the Roval under the lights and run under the sun.
Yeah, that would be definitely great to see.
24 laps to go around Charlotte Motor Speedway's Roval. Sartaj Mann out front. A hard charging Jordan Kuntz right now, trying to close the gap. About 4 seconds between those guys, right around 4.1, as Parker White now sits in the 3rd position, trying to track down the 99, working down this little short chute into the hill climb here in the Roval.
What I just thought of Parker White was incredible. He went to the outside of Nick Miller instead of the inside, and it made it work. So he obviously has a tremendous amount of speed, and obviously has no damage on his car to be able to make those moves. And he's climbing his way back through the field, hit it twice, so we know he has a little bit more fuel than everybody he's racing with. So really, it's about what strategy is left in this race, and stuff like that. I don't know if they can make it. I have no clue. I'm just watching and seeing how the cars fall, but definitely Parker does have the car to beat right now. But even if he passes Jordan Kuntz here, he still has about 4 seconds to go to get this Sartaj Mann.
And for Sartaj Mann, this is kind of what he wants to see right now, is some pressure being applied to Jordan Kuntz here and force the 99 to go into defensive mode as opposed to complete offense here, because the 95 is really aggressive around his track. You saw him get up on those turtles and really use them to his advantage here, and that's something that the 99 will have to defend against as they get down into the interior section, approaching the Bank of America carousel here, down into the corner. It's been a great part of the track for the 99 and the 95. Let's see who wins this battle here as they race off onto the short straightaway. All of this occurring through the windshield of Nick Miller. He's doing a nice little run here as well. He got 3 wins this season, but he's chained together some good runs, and looks like the battle is over because the 99 puts up no fight. The 95 will go ahead and pass him before they even get back to the oval part of the track. Parker White is now second in pursuit of Sartaj Mann.
He'll get there.
I mean, 3.7 seconds is not a large deficit here, especially once you start getting that clean air and looking at the pace right now. That was a second faster right now as Parker White will go and bring up that last time information for you so you can see it with your own eyes. Last time by, Parker White ran a 1:22.36 compared to a 1:23.22 out of Sartaj Mann. So numbers don't lie. There's some tremendous speed there, but going back to something that was talked about weeks ago on a completely different kind of track, the short track being Lucas Oil, is tires just leveling off, and where them being fresh doesn't really matter, and they just kind of stop wearing, in a manner of speaking, where the degradation isn't as bad and it kind of stabilizes. I think that's going to be a key part of this race for these drivers, is how do they adapt once the tires kind of just reach that equilibrium and don't really go anywhere. And I think you're going to see maybe this 95 really take advantage of that, because he is flying around this interior section, already cutting that lead down nearly in half, already down to 2 seconds, and dropping like a rock before you even get back to oval number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I think with Parker, going to save his tires. I mean, I know that tires eventually do even out at some point, but I mean, just the way he drives it, it's just phenomenal. Every track, and he's there. I mean, he sees Sartaj. Sartaj, either he's pushed his car to his limits already or saving, but if you're saving right now, you've got Parker coming behind your windshield, I would not sit there and be patient. I would go fast.
Yeah, right now tied with the 57 entering tonight's race for that final spot in the playoffs, Every point's going to matter here, so he's trying to lead as many laps as he can because you never know how this could play out here. But certainly, you got the 95 bearing down on now 21 laps to go. Leaving points on the table is a big concern, I'm sure, for some of these drivers. And when the 95 maybe gets up here and gets racy and is able to lead some laps, that's another point taken away where someone could maybe get that most laps led award. And, you know, when you're trying to run for a championship, you want to try and salvage everything you can, but we'll see how much of a battle this 95 will give the 49 because, you know, if you're in this situation, do you want to hold up your pace and battle for this lead when you have a lot of playoff drivers behind you, not too far away, with Nick Miller, Jordan Coons, even Derek Smith could probably try and close up a little bit here if this battle goes on too long, as we might start seeing it unfold once they get back onto NASCAR 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, Sartaj's man last lap definitely a lot slower than I think the top 5, top 6. So he probably used up all his stuff, and you know, probably doesn't have much left. So right now at this point, I mean, like you said, I probably wouldn't battle with Parker that hard. Maybe if you can hold him up. But I mean, the longer you battle, the closer Jordan Coons gets to you, and Miller gets to you. So you really want to preserve those points. So if Parker gets in position, I would probably just give it to him and let him go on.
Absolutely. Now down into the final chicane here, coming to 20 to go this time by. Watching a great battle for the lead begin to develop here, and you know, we're used to seeing this performance there, a great run off that corner. We've seen him do that many times during tonight's race, but the 49 will likely get a nice little run off this corner to hold him off at least momentarily down into the Roval part of the track, and they'll battle a little bit more into the carousel. He'll lose the lead there momentarily, and now let's see if the 49 can get back there. He's going to race hard down in that corner. Drove it in deep. He's going to try and fight back now and not able to do much there. The 95 holding off the 49, and he'll climb the hill as the race leader.
What a surprise. Parker White to the lead, and definitely in commanding fashion. He definitely has obviously the quickest car out here, but now it just goes back to we might got loose there. What a
Tokyo
save.
Drift out there, Concord Drift actually off that corner, and it'll open the door for the 49, and he'll get the spot back here, and now back to work goes to 95.
Well, now these two battling like this, Jordan Coons is liking this. He's like, oh, keep on doing it, come on.
I mean, the more they race against each other, obviously they're going to use their equipment a lot more, burn up those tires, and allow you to reel them in a bit more. You're now seeing a single file coming into the bank section of the track and coming to that hard braking portion of this course right here on the front stretch.
See Parker White try to make a move or set him up.
This is an important corner for him, being able to get that run off, and he'll try and do it again. Not quite as strong of a run as we saw last lap off that corner. He'll have to try and set him up here again through the carousel down a little short straightaway in the road course portion of the track.
Parker probably maybe settled back in after that little slide and got his tires back underneath him, and probably going to mount a charge here very soon. But that was a very rare mistake as we see the 95 get to the inside of the 49, coming out of those corners right there and going into the carousel right here.
Beautiful rotation through that section of the track to get the run on the low side, and he'll grab the lead back near the part of the track where he lost the lead just a lap ago. We'll see how passive he is as he rejoins the banked part of this track and see if he gets a little loose there. That was a Tokyo Drift I've never seen when he'll hang on to it this time here, and he'll go ahead and try and pull away from Sartaj Man. The lead now 0.6 of a second through turns 9 and 10.
6/10 of a second. Sorry, I had like a brain spasm right there between the front two. But if you look behind Sartaj Man, you got Jordan Coons right there.
Absolutely, and further back in that field, we saw Nick Miller pass by and still holding strong. We haven't talked about him much this season, but that car right there, the 98 at Blaze Brinkley, sitting third in points right now, plus 3 above the cutoff line. A solid night for him. He got 3 straight top 10s in the playoffs last round, so he's very consistent and built on that win he got back at Myrtle Beach earlier this season, winning at Richmond during the Working Down playoffs. So a strong showing here out of the driver who we normally talk about in these short tracks.
Say, short track king over there doing a pretty good job at the Roval, battling with Derek Smith there for 5th spot. So obviously doing what he needs to do to protect his playoff spots. You know, honestly, you got only two guys out of the top 5 that came in that that are running well right now. That's Nick Miller and Blaze Brinkley. You got Brody Gardner, Issues, Corey Hart. I mean, he's running solid, but not really probably where he wants to be running right now. He's in seventh. You know, then obviously we know that Landon Mills is here, so it's going to be a shake-up after this week. I can definitely tell you, because some of the guys are definitely putting on, in the top 5 are putting on a great show, and some of the guys outside the top 5 are putting on a phenomenal show, like Sartaj, Man, and
Speaking of Corey Hart, a driver we talk about often on the short tracks as well, has a great road course background as well. We know he likes to run the special event races like Daytona, Sebring, and all those fantastic courses. Showing some strength here. He is down 2 spots where he started the night, but still sitting solidly inside the top 10 in 7th position. He's gotten 3 straight top 10s in the first round of the playoffs, so very consistent here for him as Derek Smith makes his way into the pits. We'll see if that means pit stops for other drivers as this run goes on. 5th in points right now, holding on to that final playoff position entering tonight's race was tied with Sartaj Man. We'll see if that changes as we go further into tonight's race, but Sartaj Man obviously running in 2nd position and led laps as well, so certainly more work needs to be done there out of the 57. He wants to keep his playoff hopes alive. What I think could be good for him is the fact that we are going to some pretty tough tracks here in the next 2 weeks, Atlanta and Dover, and he seems to always rise to the occasion there, much like the NASA spaceships that rise to the skies there as he really rides it off to the side there, uses the red and white off the corner, running those space shuttle colors in the 57. We'll see what he can do as we look toward the next 2 races on the schedule.
I think he's going to really prevail in the next 2 races, just because he always states that he likes the tracks that are really hard for the drivers and that create some type of like action that prevent people, well, gets people involved in wrecks. He's able to keep his car clean. I think Atlanta and Dover are the 2 tracks that are going to be really tough for these drivers. So I definitely look for Corey Hart to succeed over there.
Absolutely. Right now, out front, 16 laps to go. That car right there doing what he did last race when we were running at one of these tracks, leading a lot of laps, trying to pull away from the group here at the front. Currently out front by roughly 4 seconds right now as Corey Hart makes his way into the pits here. And that's another driver making a pit stop. We've seen a couple come in here. Derek Smith made a stop a moment ago on lap number 28. And now Corey Hart's coming in. So I think the window is beginning to open for these drivers, and you may see who will opt to stay out and who's going to come in.
Yeah, I guess it's a one-stop race unless they can make it all the way to the end of fuel, because I mean they're not pitting yet. So I'm thinking, I don't know. I mean, some of these guys maybe have to make 1 stop, or they're thinking they have to make 1 stop, and maybe Parker White thinks he can go all the way to the end. I have no clue, because why would Parker White come in and top off? That's the only question.
Couldn't tell you. We know these drivers always have their different telemetry and software going, and you know, if he maybe thought that his number was solid, or could have been a situation where maybe just wanted to make his run go a little longer, knowing he'll have to try and cut his way through the field here to get to the front. That could be a tactic here as well, knowing he needs a little more time to get to the front, so maybe that extra lap or so could help him get to that point. But we really won't know until we talk to these drivers after the race, which always join us after the race concludes to go and hear from these drivers to get their insights on what was a fun night here at Charlotte Roval. 15 to go. That's the car leading this race here. And what's notable about him leading here, entering tonight's race, we've only run at 2 road courses so far this season. We ran over at Indianapolis Road Course most recently and Watkins Glen at the beginning of the season. That driver right there during season 5 has led 40 of the 68 laps that have been run so far this season on road course, and yet again 3 for 3 out here leading laps on a road course this season, and looking to add to that tally here tonight. And yes, I did the math. It's 68 laps, unfortunately not 69.
You would love it to be 69 laps,
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you, Mike?
It accounts for 58% of the laps that have been, 58% of the laps on a road course have been led by that 95. So once he gets out front, very strong here, and of course winning back at Indianapolis Road Course earlier this season, and going to victory lane just 7 days ago back at Texas Motor Speedway. So that car is finding its stride here. He may not be running for a championship here. Maybe some drivers are saying thank God, but certainly showing some pace here right at the end of the season, flexing his muscle here at Charlotte.
Flexing muscle, and he has looked like coming to 15 to go this time by. So definitely this race is flying by. So we'll see if anybody else is going to pit. Any other takers? We only had 2 playoff drivers that have pitted, and that's Derek Smith and Corey Hart. And they're out there, and Derek Smith running like 7/10 quicker than Parker White. So, well, actually a second quicker than Parker White. So not a crazy amount of speed that's quicker, but maybe he's just trying to gain those few seconds on the people that were ahead of him, because he did actually make an incredible recovery after that wreck on lap 1.
Absolutely. So we're seeing more drivers like I said, make stops here. Of those drivers who have come to pit road, that driver right there, Corey Hart's in 57, pit road lap number 29. So just a few moments ago, he was in the pits here, sitting in the 8th position. Ahead of him is Derek Smith, entering turn number 1, pitted on lap number 28. So we'll see this battle begins to coalesce a bit and begin to ramp up as this run goes on with 14 to go at this juncture right now. But Derek Smith, we keep going back to him. Really a great rebound for him coming into tonight's race. Only a couple of points outside of the championship 5. And, getting the pole award, that's a valuable point right there. And now overcoming the adversity of what happened to him earlier in the race, dropping back outside the top 10 following that lap 1, turn 1 crash. Really, even though this was probably a frustrating night, at least initially, has to be proud of his body of work here to be able to keep this car running and be able to keep it well inside the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we see Jordan Kuntz actually coming to pit road first at top 3 coming down pit road. Derek Smith really could have just given up on lap 1, but he persevered. He actually had no hood for the beginning of the race. Now he has one, that's repairs, but definitely overcame adversity and hung in there, and he might actually be able to get closer to that cutoff line, or maybe inside that cutoff line, if he can finish this off strong, like he's been trying to really just muscle his way back to the top 5, maybe potentially have top 3 with all the strategy he's trying to pull.
Best finish in the first round of the playoffs, the round of 14, was a 4th place back in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Richmond Raceway a few weeks ago. So trying to keep that run going here now, sitting inside the top 5 as drivers continue to cycle on to pit road. Blaze Brinkley now making his way out of the pits here. Jordan Kuntz most recently in the pits as well, right behind the 66. So those two served as the front row for this race. And now they'll battle each other here with 13 to go, most likely.
Yeah, Jordan Kuntz is going to probably have fresher tires and be able to pass Derek Smith. But you can see all the time Derek Smith gained, because Derek Smith, I think, was like 4 or 5 seconds behind Jordan Kuntz. And in a few laps, he was able to gain time on him, and now he's ahead of Jordan Kuntz. So we'll see if Derek Smith has enough speed, maybe just hold him off a little bit.
Absolutely. So running grab next to the wall there. Haven't seen many people get next to our camera right there in the middle of 9 and 10, and that'll allow the 99 to make his way by as the leaders continue to cycle onto pit road. Sartaj Mann coming in and Nick Miller coming in. So Parker White still out there running right now, looking at the field as they run of drivers who have yet to come to pit road. So far during this run, Parker White, Brody Gardner, and Colton Lights, it looks like, and Aaron Brown as well have yet to make a pit stop here during this current run.
Staying out there, we know no caution is going to happen, so I don't know what their strategy is. Are they saving fuel? Who knows? I mean, I know Brody Gardner had that damage, so maybe he's able to run a little bit slower and not have to use as much fuel, but I mean, he also at the same time might come into jeopardy of Jordan Kuntz and Derek Smith, because they are only, I say 14 seconds behind him, but they do have fresher tires, so they might be able to get to Brody Gardner by the end of this race if Brody doesn't pit.
Yeah, and like we said, Brody Gardner having his issues there earlier in the race, right there on that restart. A lot of damage to his car after a crash right in the entrance to the exit to turn number 1 down into the road course section of the track on the restart. He's fighting back here as now Parker White makes his way into the pits here, so the leader will go ahead and momentarily perhaps lose the lead here. We'll see how it all cycles around. Right now, looking at the scoring, approximately 44 seconds is the time on pit road from entry to exit here at this track. So got some work to do if Brody Gardner wants to try and pass him here and then pull away. Here he comes exiting the final couple of turns in the oval part of the track to get through the chicane. Parker White in his stall now getting service. This will be close, but I think Parker White might be able to actually hold on to the lead here once he gets back off pit road. So there he is leaving. It's going to be a real tight one, so he might actually end up having to try and track him down here with those fresh tires.
Yeah, which I don't think will be that hard. It's really where Parker White comes out compared to the guys that pitted early. And it's going to be the next guy is going to be Jordan Kuntz, who actually was able to get by Sartaj Mann in those pit cycles. And now he'll probably be P2 once it's cycled all the way through with Brody Gardner pits.
Brody Gardner right now, one of the only drivers who's yet to come to pit road. Colton Lights, the other one as of right now. Aaron Brown, one lap down, looks like, or several laps down rather, has yet to come to pit road. Actually, he's out of the race, so it's not showing that he has departed us here, unfortunately. But in any case, right now, watching the 55 try to do something here to salvage what could have been a great night for him after having a strong run at the end of the first stage. Now facing some challenges here as he races down into the backstretch chicane with a hard-charging Parker White right behind him. Now the gap less than 1 second.
Yeah, definitely coming pretty quick is Parker White. As actually the track has changed a little bit through the course of the early mornings of this race. As we raced in the morning, but it has actually transitioned a little bit hotter. Nothing crazy. It went from 67 degrees up to 71, and the sun is peaking, but it's not really putting a lot of heat down on the track. I think it's the first time we saw the sun on the track, but I don't think it's going to really affect the drivers on these final 10 laps. But nonetheless, I mean, Parker White has been flawless tonight with just driving through the field and being very methodical, like I spoke about what he had to do throughout the race. And he's been a class of the field, even though he wasn't up front the whole entire race. He's definitely been the class, showing them how to get by and drive through the field and just be fast when you need to be.
Absolutely. So right now, Parker White holding the most positions gained in tonight's race, plus 11 on the evening end. You can go ahead and guess if you've watched this broadcast long enough. You know exactly how he did it. Didn't qualify for this race, so started well outside the top 10 there, and now has worked his way back into the top 10, and now back out front. Already has 2 wins so far this season, back at Texas Motor Speedway last race at Indianapolis Road Course earlier in the season. So continuing to be a very strong force here in the league, and he is your Truck Series champion as well. Really had a great battle with Jordan Kuntz, Michael Rosero, and himself in those final few races, and they became the big 3 of that series as we broadcasted the last few months. That wrapped up about a couple months ago. But nonetheless, a tremendous run out of that 95 right now, coming to 9 to go, and really no one having an answer for him on the road courses, and that's not surprising at all. Let's go back to Watkins Glen, where he had a tremendous pace at that track, running the boot configuration, which is obviously normally run for a lot of the sports car races. Plenty of experience on the road course for this driver here. Led so many laps today, an issue under caution that put him out of that race, but still was one of the classes of the field there, and he brought that same speed back to Indianapolis, and we're seeing that speed here again tonight.
Oh, definitely. Well, who was the last guy to go back-to-back wins in the series? Was it Brody Gardner?
I think it was Brody Gardner earlier in the season, a little bit earlier when he was on that hot streak, right around the summer, late summertime, I'd say.
Well, Parker White's looking to do that, and that'll be his first time this season to be able to do that if he can hold on these next 9 laps. So I think Brody's the only one able to do it this season. So Parker's looking to add his name to that list.
And Nick Miller, a quiet night for him, sitting in 4th position where he started the night as well. He had a tremendous playoff stretch. I think that's something that's kind of flown under the radar maybe for some people, but they really need to start paying attention to how well this 19 is running right now in this part of the season. He finished inside the top 5 just over and over after finishing 23rd at Talladega, chained together great runs at both Texas and Richmond, finishing 2nd there. And now finding himself second in points, only 23 points behind Brody Gardner. A night like tonight could certainly help his cause to try and pull away from that cutoff line and allow for some flexibility going into some tracks that could benefit him here while winning at Bristol and Phoenix, yes. Earlier this season, I think he could probably show some potential on a track like Dover, which has similar characteristics to a Bristol. And of course, it's a really difficult course to get up on the wheel at and really be strong and consistent, so I could see him really running well here. This could be the round that defines Nick Miller.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Nick Miller, I said in a Discord last week, who I thought would be the championship favorites and dark horses. And unfortunately, I didn't state Nick Miller. He felt a little offended because he thought he'd been strong all season. While he has, he's also had a dry spout where his name kind of just went MIA for a little bit. Didn't have good races, but it looked like he's building that momentum up, and I think he's trying to shut me up with this run tonight, and running really well. Inside the top 5, trying to get another top 5 this season, and get his name definitely in the talks for that final 5.
great season overall for him as well. 3 wins, 12 top 10s, and 292 laps led. So not only getting out front to win at the right time, but staying out front as well. Nearly 300 laps led so far this season. So tremendous pace for Albert Martini, which he's been a long-time veteran of the series. And for him, this is kind of a return to form for him after going a bit of a time without a win. It seems like he's really found his stride in these Xfinity cars and continues to do so as he now sits in the 4th position, trying to track down Sartaj Man just ahead of him as he re-entered the road course.
Yeah, so looking at the rundown of the points, how they entered, it just looks like I said, 2 guys really put their name out there that were the top 5 and ran flawlessly tonight, and obviously keeping themselves inside the top 6, and that's Nick Miller and Blaze Brinkley. And you got to look at the 3 other guys, Derek Smith and Sartaj Mansour. They're all outside or on the bubble, and they're all running great tonight. So like I said, it's definitely going to come down to a mistake in the next 2 races. Who makes it and who doesn't? It's going to be a tight battle. We have 10 phenomenal drivers, and obviously 5 aren't going to transfer. So I don't even think it's going to come to who DNFs. I think it's just going to come down to 1 or 2 points who just win. I mean, honestly, I think it's just going to be a win or top 2 to really get yourself in the top 5.
You saw the schedule there on the screen, so not much time left here in the season. Still have a few more races to decide our champion. Dover and Atlanta serving as our next 2 races. Atlanta first, Dover to close out the round of 10, and then we'll have to decide our champion. 5 drivers will contend over 3 races, and while we watch these guys work around the track, we'll go ahead and take a look at that schedule and look at that because it's going to be a fun round nonetheless. Here's a large look at that schedule for you. Las Vegas, one of my favorite tracks here on the service. Iowa and Homestead, Miami will serve as the finale for our Championship 5.
Those tracks aren't even easy too, so we got a lot of difficult tracks coming up that are going to really showcase a lot of talent out of these guys. And out of the next 2, I mean, Dover's tough, but I really think with the unknowns of Atlanta and just how tricky that track can be and what iRacing has really been doing to Atlanta, because we think that iRacing is doing something to Atlanta, but no one can really know, because I do think there's less bumps than there were, but there's still bumps, so it's kind of confusing what they're doing. But I've heard from a lot of people that Atlanta drives differently now than it had a month ago or 2 ago. So it's a lot of unknowns going to Atlanta. I think Atlanta's probably going to be the trickier of the 2.
So right now, watching one of the only battles we got going on the track right now as we're right inside 5 laps to go. Got Sartaj Man sitting in one of the podium places, the final one to be exact, with Nick Miller trying to close in, looking at the lap times for these drivers passing by the start-finish line. This time, we'll go an update for you on the screen. You see Sartaj Man at 123 flat compared to a 123.31, so about 0.3 faster than 49 over Nick Miller. So let's see this battle begin to intensify here with only a handful of laps left in tonight's race.
Yeah, you'd say they used to talk about those 2 guys. If any of those 2 guys get racing really hard, Derek Smith's 5th place, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, that guy really recovered. He could be right there and get a top 3. So if those 2 get battling in the next 5 laps, anything can happen.
Riding along with Nick Miller, you just see those elevation changes when you're working through this section. You have to also really tiptoe it around here. You just hear him just riding the dash just a little bit, not wanting to apply too much because you're trying to on these boring tires on this run, trying to just get it off the corner to get back on these hard, fast sections of the track, and then you're back on the brakes again, trying to carefully put the power down, all while trying to close up on the car in front of you. That's the 49 Sartaj Man working through the chicane there. You see how much height you get off the ground as well, hitting those turtles, those curbs. They'll knock that car up in the air, and that seems like, oh, it's not so bad, but it really can create instability there, and it creates challenge when you're trying to put that power down as the car is trying to reestablish grip on the surface.
Yeah, definitely. And you want to hit them just perfectly. I mean, in real life, they try not to, because we hear that it actually breaks the suspension. Luckily on iRacing, we have it to where it doesn't break the suspension.
At least not yet.
Not yet. No, I say that now, and then a year from now it might. But obviously, you don't want to drive straight into stuff because it does upset the car. You just want to hit it just perfect and get the car to turn, so you don't have to put so much wheel into it. So it helps, but you got it's a finesse. how you got to hit them. And obviously, some corners they choose not to go and attack them, and some corners they use them. So it's really how your car handles and how comfortable you feel with how you attack them.
And finally finding his way inside the top 10 with 4 laps to go is that driver right there. That car looking pretty clean there as well. We'll talk about what that means here in a moment, but the 90 of Malachi Drake sitting in 9th place, up 7 spots tonight. He wanted some dirt tracking tires. Well, it looks like he just kept the regular tires on and just stayed out of trouble here. And he's kept the car pretty clean, working down into the road course. And now look at him, solid pace, sitting inside the top 10.
Yeah, definitely where he was running 14th, 15th early in the race was not going to cut it. He was going to lose a chunk of points, considering he did not get any stage points. But finishing 9th, he's still going to lose points, but it won't be a big deficit as we're going to be going to ovals in the next few weeks. I think it's a little loose, actually, going through the carousel right there, but you know, he'll actually have an opportunity to compete and run strong next week and the week after. So definitely he wanted to come out of here with a clean car, and obviously with some of the guys that retired from the race, he was able to gain some spots. So he's still in it. He doesn't have track position. He's over a minute, believe it or not, a minute behind the leader, but still here and kept the car clean, and he actually does have 0 incidents. There's only 2 guys in the field currently that are running that have him.
Best finish in the first round of the playoffs for Malachi Drake was a 3rd place back at Talladega. We know how exciting that race was, and now trying to get things going in the right direction in terms of his playoff hopes is the 90 of Malachi Drake. And now give us an opportunity to talk about one thing right quick, which is our clean race finishes. We had a few back at Texas Motor Speedway, one of them being Nick Miller. Great run there for the 19, getting 7 spots gained to finish 3rd, all without getting any incidents during that race. Landon Mills, again, finding himself part of this distinction as well, finishing in 4th, down 1 place from where he started. And Corey Hart's an 8th place finish, clean as well, after starting in 6th. So good race for those guys. 35 incidents among 13 drivers. And of course, a clean race finish brought to you by Arundel Auto Detailing. And Nick Miller finding himself there again. Maybe next season I'll start keeping a tally, and we'll give a clean race finisher award for the season as well.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of guys have been clean this season. A lot of difficult tracks. And while Texas wasn't difficult, there's been some tracks that people have kept their car clean this season. So definitely look forward to seeing that stat continuing and seeing who keeps it clean. And those guys that keep it clean and finish up front means they're doing something right, being respectful but racing really hard. So that's what I like to see. Absolutely.
Right now, working his way back onto turns 9 and 10 is the 95 Parker White out to a 16-second lead over Jordan Kuntz, who, give a call to him after his incident there. We'll get our eyes on him as he now gets onto the banking of Charlotte Motor Speedway. We talk about rebounding and overcoming adversity, and we pointed out Derek Smith, but Jordan Kuntz as well, after his challenges getting into the wall, they're surging back to get to this position and understanding maybe that his race wasn't whipped in 95 while he wanted to try and win this race. Now has rebounded back up to 2nd position, likely trying to get one of his best finishes so far in this round right now, and this will certainly help his cause as we look toward the end of the playoffs here and looking toward the final round. Every point's going to matter, and these moments where we're able to overcome adversity, this is where it counts here, and he's done just that, sitting in 2nd, only 1 position down from where he started after getting the pole earlier and winning the stage.
Yeah, definitely. So he's doing what he can this race, recovering, and you know, if it comes down to best finishing a round, he's getting 1 out of the way right now with a 2nd place. So you never know what happens as Parker White is coming to halfway through the final lap of this race with a commanding lead, unless he spins out and does what he did in practice. I think go through Heartburn turn, which he already went past anyway, so he would have to find a different jump. He got this one in the bag, and it's been an incredible run by Parker. He definitely showcases all of his abilities and his talent out on the field when he shows up, so we're glad to have him. It just makes the guys race a lot much harder to try to outsmart him, and it's very hard to do. People have done it, but Parker White's really been the class, just driving through the field, and once he got the lead, he never looked back.
If you're looking for a driver to put on your 24-hour team, this is a stellar road course race, and we've shown that every time we've run at road courses. Watkins Glen, tremendous pace. He went to Indianapolis, commanding victory there, and now head to Concord, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and take victory. Win number 2 in a row for the 95. He'll take the victory at Charlotte Roval.
What a great run by him. Phenomenal drive. And phenomenal recovery out of Derek Smith and Jordan Kuntz. definitely a great recovery out of those guys.
Those drivers now coming across the track here. Jordan Kuntz will finish in the second position. The Sartage man, Nick Miller, Derek Smith, top 5. Further down, expecting to see Blaze Brinkley, Brody Gardner, Corey Hartz, Malachi Drake will finish 9th, and Henry Tabor finishing inside the top 10. That's your winner right there, Parker White. A great run out of that driver right there, really doing a good job of just understanding the pace of his race. And we go back to that unorthodox pit stop, that second stop during the caution period at the end of the stage. That could have been strategic. We'll certainly ask him what his thought process was about that, because it gave him a little extra time to stay out there to work his way through the field and also capitalize on a lot of the incidents we saw around the track that broke out. But it did give him extra time to get around the facility and be able to fight his way through traffic a little bit longer than everyone else. And that could have been pivotal for him here as he works his way back around. Expecting to see him celebrate on the front stretch. It's a long drive around here. I'm sure it's all the more sweet when you're actually the race winner.
Definitely, yeah. He continues around here. We're going to see him celebrate. Mike, I've enjoyed tonight. I'm going to continue my packing as everybody enjoy their holidays. I got to go take care of that stuff. I'll get the points going. But it definitely a phenomenal night tonight. Obviously, I look forward to listening to hear what the guys have to say about the race and how it went. Congrats to Parker. I mean, if he was running for the championship, these guys would be worried. Obviously, we'd be looking at a champion, but he just comes out here to have fun. And speaking about that second pit stop under caution, I think he did it just to have fun. Guaranteed that's what he's gonna say. So I'm gonna go out on a whim and say that.
Sounds good. Well, I'll go ahead and let you go, and I appreciate you being here. And we'll go ahead and start talking to the drivers as they begin to file into the waiting room area. But he is celebrating there like he hasn't done this before. We've seen him go to victory lane multiple times. That's his 3rd win this season. Congratulations to Parker White, celebrating on the front stretch here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Roval, giving us a great night of racing action. We'll start talking to the drivers who had good nights here at the track. Overcoming adversity is pretty much the storyline of our evening at this track. It's been about trying to overcome the challenges put forth to you, and a lot of drivers did just that here. And we'll go and start bringing them in as the 95 does a little more celebrating here. And let's go and start talking to our first driver, the 66 of Derek Smith, who had, one of those nights where it's the highest of highs and it kind of goes down, but able to rebound and still get a top 5, helping his playoff hopes there in the 66 forward driver. Derek Smith, do you got us?
Yes, sir.
So talk to us about your night out there, and just, I guess, first things first, going into turn 1, lap 1, what happened there, and how did you just kind of put your head down and get back to work to get yourself this top 5 finish?
Well, if you guys saw, it was obviously the run down to turn 1 was a lot longer than it usually is, so the braking points are going to be earlier. Some people didn't understand that, and I wasn't sure where to brake either, but I went pretty easy. The other people behind me kind of went a little bit harder, and unfortunately, I just got rammed and just had to take a bite of the Tums wall for breakfast. So, yeah, that's unfortunate there.
That's a very chalky breakfast. No one wants that. No one wants that first thing in the evening here. So over the night, you were able to work your way back into the picture here and got yourself into the top 5. Talk about the pace during that last run here. Just how was the car driving for you out there? We know this place can get really slick when the sun starts beating down on it. We were seeing some flashes of sun out there. How was the track for you tonight?
Well, I think I did all right. After the stage caution, I fixed my damage. I was able to run pretty well, basically with the people in the top 5, except like Parker and Jordan for sure. But then once it got near the end, I just pitted a lot earlier than everyone else, and the undercut worked for Blaze, but I couldn't do it for Nick or Sartaj. But I'm very content with a top 5 here. That's probably the best from what happened on lap 1.
So we're going to Atlanta and Dover the next 2 weeks. Of those 2, which do you think will help you in your pursuit of trying to get into the Championship 5?
Well, I know in the past I've had bad luck at Dover. Usually it's my race ends in a wreck there. But yeah, I hope the road courses do me well. I always have fun doing these races. And also Watkins Glen, in my opinion, is just a better one for me. So hopefully I'll do all right there. But Dover, I'm not really sure about. It's a gamble there.
Yeah, certainly going to be interesting when we start going to these really tough tracks over the next 2 weeks. And We know you're kind of on the outside here looking in. When you look at your season overall, what do you think of your performance overall this season?
It's been up and down, honestly. I've had some pretty good moments, got a couple poles, a lot of top fives and tens, but then I also have those races where I just not mentally in it. But overall, I think I do okay. Not the best, but uh, I do all right.
Well, we'll keep watching you out there, and you really put on the master class in being able to overcome adversity, and you did a great job of that here. So, congratulations, Derek Smith. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy another top five finish?
I want to thank my teammates Corey and Jordan for being the VC with me during the race.
Awesome. Well, always good talking to you. We look forward to seeing what you do when we head to Atlanta Motor Speedway next week.
Alrighty.
All right, we'll keep working through our interviews here. The next driver we'll bring in is the guy who finished back there in the fourth position. That's where he started the night as well. The driver of that 19 Supra out on the track. Good run for him. Quiet night out there on the track and stay out of trouble for the most part. So, driver of the 19 Toyota, Nick Miller, do you got us?
Yeah, I got you.
So, talk to us about your night out there, staying out of trouble going into the heartburn turn. We saw some other drivers have issues, but you stayed relatively unscathed. How was your night here at the Roval, and you're chaining together some good runs here at the right time?
Yeah, we definitely did not stay out of trouble. We just got really lucky going through that corner. I think we had like a 17x. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Those first couple laps, you really had to be careful, and then I just played conservative the entire time because of my incidents. I hate to be that person, but like, there's just some people here that were driving this track like it was right at the oval, and we're obviously not. So I don't know why they were driving so hard, like such.
For you, what did you find to be the most challenging part of the track itself? So maybe not the drivers around you, but the physical track itself. Were there any sectors that were problematic for you, or was it pretty much kind of easy going once you were able to get in your own comfort zone around this facility?
Uh, it was pretty easy just because I was trying to keep the zero incidents there. Since I had so much to begin with, so there was really nothing I struggled with besides racing drivers around me because I felt like they didn't really know what they were doing and they wanted to battle you into every corner that you tried making a move on.
So now we're looking at Atlanta and Dover for the next 2 weeks in this round of 10. So for you, which of those two races do you think is your best opportunity to try and further submit yourself as part of the Championship 5?
Definitely Atlanta. I'm hoping I'll be like top three there, but I mean I don't know. Parker's usually always fastest after like 20-25 laps, so we'll see. Uh, yeah, Atlanta. I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully I can have enough points to where I can just ride at Dover.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep watching you when we go around there. But before we let you go, enjoy another top five finish. But you're stringing these together. I think that's your third straight top five finish here in the playoffs so far. Anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy a fourth place finish here at the Roval?
The team getting ready for the pro season now that pro's over. Later Mills for the awesome paint scheme as always. And how about a shout out to Sartaj? My boy was flying through those the beginning parts of the stage 2. So shout out to him too.
Definitely. We'll be talking to him about that momentarily, but congratulations to you there in 19, finishing in fourth position, another top five for you. We'll see what you do when we head to Atlanta next week.
Yep. See ya.
All right, we keep working through our interviews here. The next driver we'll bring in, already previewed by Nick Miller. It'll be the 49 of Sartaj Man, someone who is a fan of being here in the booth and a regular visitor to our broadcast booth. The driver of the 49 Toyota Supra, Sartaj Man, do you got us?
I got you.
So talk to us about your night out there. Very interesting one. We saw incidents going down into turn one for different drivers. Talk to us about your night and how you tried to avoid all that calamity, if you even could. What did you see out of your windshield? And maybe take us back to the restart for the, I guess, final stage there going into one.
Yeah, I mean the final stage restart, I was just an idiot. I sent it in too hard, and I mean, at that once I realized I sent it in too hard, there was just no going back. I just had it all locked up, but I felt really bad that I pretty much dumped my teammate like that. I didn't want to do it. Never would want to do that. But yeah, it resulted in me dumping him, and then I mean it inevitably gave me the lead because what's it called Jordan junked himself or something like a few laps later when I passed Corey after that. But didn't last long because Parker's in this race. So yeah, it's just a race of staying out of the incidents, and I got only involved in one, I'd say, but it was not one that I'd want to be involved in.
Hmm. So talk about the racing here on the track and just trying to get around here. It seems like the challenge was trying to set up passes around this place. How did you approach cutting through this field when you had to move forward there?
Yeah, I didn't have to make that many passes, I'd say, but it's just a really tight track. I've had people try to pass me. I think I kept Parker behind me on the first stage for a few laps. It's just a really tight track to pass. So if you can just like fend them off in the right places, you'll be fine. And that's just what I did. It's a very tight racetrack, as you could see.
Yeah, absolutely. I was wishing I was out there with you. Kind of love running the Roval here in my spare time. So now we're looking a little forward here. So we're leaving Charlotte Roval, heading to Atlanta and Dover over the next 2 weeks. Of those two tracks, Atlanta Motor Speedway and Dover International, which of those two do you think will help you cement yourself into the Championship 5?
I think next week at Atlanta, I have a fair shot at it. I mean, I'm way better at mile and a half than I am at just shorter ovals. Dover's not really a short track, but shorter oval. I think I have a fair shot at both of them, though. I think I'll make it into the final 5, hopefully. So if everything
Awesome.
goes my way, I'll have
Always
a
good
good
to hear.
chance.
Always good to hear confidence out of the drivers here, and you have reason to be having a very strong run here this evening at Charlotte Roval. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy another podium appearance here this season?
Nope, nobody to shout out.
Awesome. Well, always good talking to you. Wish you a happy holidays, and we'll see you next week when we head to Hampton, Georgia, and the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yep, happy holidays.
All right, we'll keep working through our interviews here, and the next driver we'll bring in is one who was toward the front a lot of the evening, won the pole award, and got the stage win at the end of those 11 laps to finish second this evening. Jordan Coons, driver of the 99. Do you got us?
Yes, I do.
So talk to us about your night out there. You set that lap time there in the waning moments of qualifying to get yourself the pole this evening, and then went out there and led a lot of laps right there in the first stage. A great run to win a stage here this evening, and then you faced a bit of a challenge there, rising through the latter portions of the road course before the oval. Talk about what happened there. What happened in that incident where the car kind of seemed like did it slide off the track? Did you lose braking pressure? What happened for you there just shortly after that restart?
Well, I was trying to see about saving fuel to the end of the race, trying third gear, and then I think I did kind of forgot where the braking point was, and then the car didn't slow down at all, so I tried not to spin out or hit the wall too hard, and I think I did a good job of that and managed to barely get away with one.
So I was going to ask you the same question I asked Derek Smith, which is when something like that happens, you were out front leading this race and that incident happens, how do you recenter yourself and get your focus back to drive and take back the positions you just lost? Because you were able to make quick work of the other cars around you that had gotten by to get back to second place. How did you reorient yourself mentally to get that drive you needed to get second place tonight?
I mean, to me, I don't really think of the incident before. I just drive and just brake where I normally brake and try to go as fast as possible, and I don't think about the mistakes I made at that time. I just try to go after and regain the lost time.
That's another top 5 for you here on road courses on during the season, including finishing second back at Watkins Glen, where you led 12 laps. I think I asked you this a year ago when I first started broadcasting for Redline Racing's family of leagues. I'll go ahead and have you do it again. You have such a knack for road course racing. Talk about your road course racing experience, be it on sim, not on sim. How are you so good at these races? What do you do outside of the NASCAR stuff here on iRacing that helps you be so strong and competitive on these road courses?
Well, I think partly the reason why I'm so fast is because one of my first games that I ever got was F1 2016, and I always raced on that with the steering wheel. So that was before I even did oval with steering wheel. So it was my first thing I really practiced with, and then I just kind of got into more road racing when I got onto iRacing and started winning some races, started trying to find new skills, maybe watch some people that I knew are very fast and watch what they do, the tactics they use, and I think it just paid off.
Well, you've been tremendously consistent here on these road courses, and now we go back to oval racing to conclude the rest of the season. Atlanta and Dover, the final 2 races in this round. Of those two, which do you think will help you continue to try and push to get inside the top 5 in points?
Well, I think if you can remember back to last season, I finished, I think it was third at Atlanta and second or third at Dover's. At the two of my better tracks, I feel, and I just think top five finish will do it.
Excellent.
Nothing special, just consistent results.
Well, we'll keep watching you there, and of course, having a great run with your new team, Proximity Racing. So, congratulations to you for joining that organization. And before we let you go, enjoy another runner-up finish. Anyone you want to shout out or mention?
This is different, but I would like to shout out a Bruisey Racewear and Corey Hartz and everybody at Proximity. And yeah, it's been really amazing working with them so far, and I hope for a few more wins.
They got you looking good out there. That's a beautiful new paint you're running. Same colors, but great new design there. So, beautiful car. Look forward to seeing what it can do when we head to Hampton, Georgia in a few days here next week. So, congratulations again, and happy holidays to you.
Yeah, happy holiday to everyone, and thank you for these amazing broadcasts.
No problem. Thank you. And we'll continue our post race coverage and wrap up with our race winner, Parker White, who has been in this booth regularly, not just as part of our Premier Series season, but also the trucks as well. He was a regular visitor in his battles with Jordan Kunta, runner up tonight, and also Michael Rosero. But yet again, Parker White winning 2 in a row, going from Texas Motor Speedway to Charlotte Roval, being victorious this evening. The driver of the 95 Toyota, Parker White, you got us.
Yeah, I got you.
So talk to us about your night out there. And all right, so we have a couple of questions for you. Cody's not here, so I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way, and then we'll work back from the beginning of the race forward. That final pit stop, walk us through that. He believes it was maybe because you wanted to spice up your race. I thought maybe it was a little bit of strategy. What was your positioning and thought process of pitting that second time under the sage caution, which then saw you come in a little bit later in the run?
Yeah, that pit stop that I made in this stage, I looked at my fuel calculator and I said that we were about 3 or so gallons short. And I remember back to Indy when I won that race, it was a fuel race, and I couldn't remember exactly how much we had to save, but it was quite a bit. And say at a road course, it's just so long that you can save at every corner and use like almost a tenth of a gallon less than you would if you were going fast. So I decided to take the risk and pit, and or not really a risk, but I pit and I went to the back again. So I tried saving for like 2 laps, and I actually got to the point where I would have been good to the end, but my pace was just too slow, so I decided to pick up the pace and go for it again. And I wasn't really gonna force anything until I like got to the front, and when I did, it wasn't even like halfway yet. So, uh, but yeah, like I said, I tried to make it on no stops there, but it just wasn't really that possible without going too slow.
So talk about the track itself. How was it out there? I know from my own experience running the official side of things, this place can get pretty slick when the sun starts to bear down on it. How was it grip wise out there? Was it more challenging, less challenging? How did the car feel for you out on this surface here today?
Like you said, in official racing, I ran a lot of B fixed here, and uh, it felt more grippy to me just because the track temp was so much lower here in this race, but in B fixed it was like 10 degrees hotter, I'm pretty sure. So, and we were also using the fixed open setup, so that kind of made it turn better, I'm pretty sure. So I felt like I had more grip, and on the long run, I definitely freed up because the rears would wear off and the tires would heat up. But uh, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it would just be just save the rears and a little bit of fronts, and that's how you'd be fastest. But that wasn't really the case because I felt like I could push it more in the short run and not lose any speed on the long run. But if the track up was higher, then obviously that wouldn't be the case.
So I want to ask you a similar question that I asked Jordan just a few moments ago. You are right there, top of the class when it comes to road course racing. Whenever you show up here, we're constantly got the camera on you because you're out front and you're battling and you're leading laps. What is your road experience here on the sim, maybe outside the sim? What makes you, to be frank, what makes you so good on these road courses?
So I don't really know how to explain this, but I feel like there's just something with like flying planes because I do that in real life and on like simulator, and I feel like that kind of carries over in a way just because in the air you're kind of you have to obviously make left and right turns, and when you're landing you have to be perfect. Like if you miss it by a little on approach, then you're not going to make the runway. So I feel like just that and just looking at an apex and hitting that apex perfectly kind of carries over almost, even though you have way more time in the air than you do like coming up to a corner on a road course. But just I've always enjoyed road course racing. Like I remember back when I was a kid, I honest like I'm gonna be completely honest, I did not like it like on a video game or something. But once I got iRacing, I tried to focus on that, and I just have always found it fun once I got iRacing. So I really think that helps a lot, just me liking them, and like I know not many people like them. So I feel like that gives me a pretty big advantage because every time I show up to road course, I always like to drive it because I just have fun making left and right turns.
Don't worry, I was the same way. I couldn't stand road courses, and I got, showing my age, I got a Gran Turismo 4 for PS2, and then it was just off to the races. In a manner of speaking, from there, I fell in love with road course racing. And speaking to your point about flying, I did Flight Simulator for a bit. My trainer on the sim, I don't think they were pleased with how I was flying the plane and landing. So I give full credit to you to be able to get on there and actually fly planes in real life. That's pretty cool, to be honest. So now we look at only a few more races on the schedule for you, 5 races to be exact. I know you make kind of one-off appearances here and there, but we got Atlanta and Dover over the next couple of weeks. If we see you, which of those 2 races do you think we could see more Parker White leading the field?
I'd say probably Atlanta. I know there's going to be another fill, and if the track temp is hot, then I'll probably race because Atlanta's always a ton of fun in the B car, especially if you have absolutely no grip on the long run and you're just sliding around. I might show up to Dover too. That's always I haven't really liked Dover, but I've always had some speed there, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't think I have anything going on next Thursday, so I should be able to race at Atlanta, so that should be pretty fun.
Sounds good. Well, it's always good having you here in the booth and getting your insights and thoughts on the race. And yet again, another victory here. Anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy win number 3 this season?
Yeah, I just gotta thank you, Mike, for the broadcast, North Source Racing, and of course Cody. I forgot to thank him. Yeah, Cody, all the admins. Like I said, North Source Racing, SRD, and Cement Studios.
Awesome. Well, always good talking to you. Congratulations on the victory. Happy holidays. And we'll hopefully see you when we go to Atlanta here next week.
All right, thank you, Mike.
All right, that'll wrap up our interviews here with Parker White there. Great run for him. And as we already know, Cody has stepped away to go ahead and take care of some personal matters there. And that means we'll go and wrap up our evening here. Next week, we'll be running at the historic Atlanta Motor Speedway there for 134 laps and then the Dover Downs 180. That's going to be a fun, exciting night of racing around the Monster Mile here in 2 weeks. But tonight is Parker White's night, just like last week where he went to Victory Lane at Texas Motor Speedway. Now we'll go ahead and call it an evening here. Thank you so much for joining us for a fun night of road course race. It's always sad when it's our final road course race. You can hear how excited I get when I get to call these road courses. So look forward to next season where we'll have some more on the schedule. I've already seen some previews of the schedule, so some returning favorites will be coming back here next season. So looking forward to that. But again, thanks so much for watching. Happy holidays to everyone as we prepare to get together with family and celebrate Christmas. And then, of course, the new year. Next week, we'll do some racing on Thursday at Atlanta before we ring in 2022. But again, congratulations, Parker White, your winner here at Charlotte Roval, win number 2 in a row.